Hello and welcome. Let's go and have a look. So this is just building something, building a track, building a noise track, building whatever this kind of weird music is. I'm going to take you through a few different steps. The first step was going and recording a whole bunch of samples from the Pulsar23. I'm going to run through that kind of really fast. I'll sort of time-lapse that and I'll kind of preface and talk about what that process was, but this will kind of jump over and jump over there. And because what I've kind of built is a whole bunch of snares, a whole bunch of hi-hats, all from the Pulsar23. I did do some kick drums, but ended up using a couple of Lyman samples for the main kicks because they're kind of a little bit punchier than what the Pulsar can put out. But in terms of, you know, like some nice sort of bassy things, the Pulsar does a good job with that. Going to go through building a patch on the Evolver. And then bringing all of those sort of elements together. Using a technique for the snares and the hi-hats that EasyBot just demonstrated using the Tonverk and using a Subtracks machine, kind of building a whole bunch of different patterns on each of these subtracks with different sounds, so that as you play you can just kind of unmute them as the track sort of progresses, and so you're getting sort of a different groove and being able to improvise, and I really love that technique, and so have instantly implemented it, and so thank you very much for sharing that. So here we go. Let's jump over to sampling with the Pulsar, and then we'll come back, we'll look at building the patch on the Evolver, putting some things, a bit of kind of initial putting stuff together, and then coming back for how it's all finally landed. This is just going to be about just sampling the Pulsar. That's all I'm going to do, and we'll talk about stuff as we go. But yeah, the main thing is I really just want to kind of sample the snare drum and the hi-hat. If we get to the kick and maybe some bass sample stuff later, but just wanting to get some of this amazing character that comes out of this machine into here, and work off something that EasyBot did, where he was loading up Subtracks with a range of different sounds. So that's a range of similar sounds. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to load up a Subtrack on channel 2, on track 2, with snares, and then 3 I'm going to do hi-hats, and then we'll kind of see where we go from there. But it's really just going to be kind of exploring this, maybe, you know, patching some things to get some characteristic in that. But I feel like I'm going to be able to fill up sort of 8 sounds just by that. I mean, it's so much fun. And some drive and adding the clap and tuning it and other bits and pieces. So where I've gone, I've just done one as a test, and the process is a bit long, and so where I can I'll speed it up, I guess. But yeah, just getting into this kind of groove where not necessarily making a track, but preparing stuff, doing some sound design kind of space, and seeing what we can get out of these 2 tracks or these 2 channels out of the Pulsar, and not doing a lot over here, but they're there's a lot to do over there, but we won't. So let's just get into it. So the things that I've set up is on track 16, I've just got the single mono output coming out of the Pulsar into here. I do have MIDI set up, so I could sync this together, but I'm just going to be doing that. That's all I'm going to be doing, just manually triggering it and recording it. So I've got in a set and I've panned it to center. My ultimate plan is to move all of these samples over to the push and use them in the push, but then also, you know, have a nice little bank on here to be able to start with. And so the other things that I've set up in here, because this has got a bit of kind of drive on it, so there's a little bit of sound sort of coming through, as you can see here. I've just increased the threshold slightly, but I've set this to threshold, and then once I get a snare sound that I want, all I have to do is just press arm and there it is. So now I can function, oh yes, to save. I'm calling these P, L, S, R, underscore, S, N. And I think by the time I get this, I'll know where all of this is, and this is going to be 0, 2, yes, assigned to a track. This will be a test. What happens if I'm on track 2 and I hit that? No, see, it won't. So now I can go function node to discard, and I'm set up. And then, yeah, it's this idea of coming back to track 2, hitting that function, and see, there it is. Oh, the only thing that I should have done is trim that. We'll do that for the next one. All right, let's go again. So let's do a longer one. This is what I forgot to do. So B is the end, but if you hold down function, these little crosses come up, and so it'll actually cut it at a 0 crossing point. And so I can say, yes, now to save, and see, this is where I'm going to speed things up. Yay. Oh, I'm so tempted to do more snares, but let's jump to hi-hats. Let's go track 3. Yep, and we go function source and Subtracks. Yes, create new, yes. And then we go back to samples and we go no. And let's drop the distortion down for a second. Bit more volume. Sounds good. This is becoming a lot of fun, so let's do that guy. And so this is what I love doing with hi-hats on here. This is a process, I think I've spoken about this before. So you just put a whole bunch of steps on, you know, put some trigs on, some retrigs, and, you know, put them on at a couple of different speeds. And like if you listen to this at the moment, but let's grab the amp and bring the decay down. So we just and to get the kind of the hi-hat stuff, like open closed hi-hat, let's set this to random. Set the mode so it's every step and put a bit of depth on that, and then so now set the decay and low decay, yes. And then like the amazing transform tools, so doing things like randomizing the velocity. Just keep doing that. Evolver out to have a bit of a play. I'm gonna Evolver plus Tonverk, and I did a whole bunch of sampling with the Pulsar23, so I've got a whole bunch of kind of snares and hi-hats that I want to use, but I really just want to kind of do a bit of a patch, build a patch. Let's build a patch on the Evolver. That's what we're going to do. I haven't done a lot. I've pretty much just written a basic program to here, so it's kind of just set as default as it's going to get. I've set a tempo on here at 48 beats per minute, and also kind of set up the scale. I've set channel 8 to route the audio from the Evolver into the Tonverk for effects and sidechaining and other bits and pieces. Yes, so that's all I've done here. So here it's coming in A, in B, and I've set the routing to track 8, and then on track 8 I've set up it as a MIDI source, and I've set the channel to channel 8, but this is set to all channels, so I can play on here and I can sequence on here and all of those sorts of things. But I think I'm going to kind of just start with a bit of a drone and build it up from that point. And I've done a video on the Evolver before, and I haven't kind of pulled it out for a while, so it's probably going to be me just sort of rediscovering some things in here. But that's all I want to do to begin with. And so the first thing I want to do is set the VCA level. So we're droning oscillator 1. So here we are on oscillator 1. Can change the level. Do a bit of gain staging on this because it will get a little bit crunchy and distorted if you go too high. So let's drop it down to 50 to begin with, and we'll see how that goes. So I've got this idea of kind of doing this sort of pulsing something or other, and so wanted to just to start with this. Once I've opened up the VCA and set that at 100, whatever note I hit, it's just going to kind of hang there for me. So just going to sit in our G sharp, G minor. I wish I knew my musical theory a little bit. Anyway, let's just sit there and have a bit of a play with this. So shape. So my idea is to maybe start with a pulse, and I'm going to kick it down to about 25, and then I'm going to take LFO1, and I've got this synced, so I've got MIDI out obviously from here, and I've got in global here, I have it set to where is it? Tempo clock is coming from MIDI in. So when I come over here to the LFO and I go past, I should be able to set this to LFO1. Destination is going to be oscillator 1 pulse width, and the amount is going to be 50. And if I press play, still feels like it's going a bit fast. Let's just jump back to global and tempo Oh, you know what I've probably done? Let's just turn that down for a second. I bet you I haven't gone into here and gone MIDI configure and gone sync and say send clock, please send clock. Now. So let's go. Excuse me. So let's just because I don't want it to close out entirely. And let's slow that down then. Cool. The other thing was doing some left-right split. Oh, sorry, output spread. And let's bring up oscillator 2. Isn't that interesting that there's this kind of nice little interaction between the pulse width from oscillator 1 and pulses from, so you just hear how they're kind of mixing together, and there's this weird kind of set up LFO2. Two steps, destination. Pulse width. Yep, I want to do that as well. I reckon LFO1 speed can go faster, and then let's just listen to see what this is doing. That's cool. Okay, and then the frequency for this has got to be slower. Let's get these guys going together. The other thing we might do right now is modulator 1, mod source is going to be mod wheel. Where is it? Ah, mod wheel. Mod destination. Low pass. Mod mount. Let's just jump over to the Tonverk for a second and super void, yeah, let's do it. So a lot of decay, get a lot filtering on that, and then over to 8. It's not too soon just to put a bit of distortion on here. And the other fun thing we could do is let's just slightly detune the two. So there's a little inconsistency here where the low pass filter goes to 167 or whatever that value was, but the mod wheel mod amount only goes to 100. So if they're the same increment, in terms of getting that fully open, let's add another oscillator in. shape for sequencer 3. So if we choose sequencer 3, and maybe let's just turn down oscillator 1 and oscillator 2 for the minute, so we can just hear this going on. And if I go to sequencer edit, I should be able to, on here, this is 3, find the numbers. What's happening? There we go. Shape sequencer, sequencer 3. What's happening? Huh. My VCA level is open. It should just keep playing. Why? Let's just go in and go sync and then transport send. And if I press that, okay. Yeah, so I worked it out. Such a numpty. The issue was when you go to a sequence and we go into sequence edit, and if we're doing like the shape mod on one of the oscillators, all of these steps are set to 0. So the shape mod number, there is no 0, it just turns the oscillator off. So that's just a dumb thing for me. And so what I've done is just gone through and added some steps on here, on 3, 2, 4, 8, sure, that'll do, that's good. And then on this one, I've set it to reset, so it'll just run through a 7-step sequence in changing that. So let's turn down the levels of oscillator 1 and 2 and the amps. Now it's playing nice. We'll set that filter. Crazy. Let's bring 4 in. Set it to 4. The other thing that I wanted to do just on 3 was make that a sub. So let's bring the frequency of it all the way down an octave. Shape mod should be set to sequence 4. Let's go up higher. And on this one, we'll set it to reset 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. we've done the building the patch on here, and you know, this is kind of that's kind of where that's landed. Let's just have a quick look at, just put some effects on that. So Dirt Shaper with a whole bunch of drive. There's not much else going on. It's just putting overdrive and then some daisy delay on it. And I'm not even kind of sending it to the sends. It's just the inbuilt delay in here, and then also daisy delay. So that's what's been happening with that. But one of the things that I have done is I've recorded samples of this. And I've done this a few different times. I've done one in here which is simply just playing it as a normal machine. What do they call it? So it's just a single player, but that enables to play kind of multiple notes. And I've got that running through a Dirt Shaper and a daisy delay with the skewed delay that's happening, and then it also kind of going off to the effects sends. And I've got an arpeggiator on that, and that's why that's kind of going through. So the idea was to be able to kind of create stacks over the top of this, so some higher frequency sort of stacks. And then I took that a step further and loaded that same sample into a grainer, and let's go up a couple of octaves. So again, just kind of creating another little kind of frequency pocket up the top there. Daisy delay, filter folder, there's a pattern emerging there, except I'm trying this sort of double notch filter, which sounds really... And I've got modulation on that, and on the folding as well. So when we track 6, I've got another sample, a second sample that I actually played while this was sequencing. So you can see that it's a little bit more beaty notes with gaps type thing, because I had a kind of a shorter release happening. And this is doing some kind of chrono pitch, and again this idea of playing some and that's where this has landed. So let's put it all together, see what that kind of looks like. Let's go. That's a fun journey. So all the way from recording all of those Pulsar23 samples as snares, hi-hats and a couple of kicks, all the way to building the patch on the Evolver and then bringing it all together on here. Thanks very much everybody that's watching these things. Please do like, subscribe, share, whatever. Not monetizing this, not wanting to do anything except just sharing the process. Sharing the idea of, you know, making noise stuff with gear that's made to make amazing noise stuff. All right, let's go.